Again on my own.
Going live. Yeah. Alrighty. Okay. Excellent condition. Excellent condition on the YouTube.
I know I'm in excellent condition, but how's our stream?
Not as good a condition as you are.
Yeah, right.
All right. Let's have
we're down to
our
like one bar.
There it is.
It's Church Chat with Pastors Dan and Dave.
And James.
Come hang out with us on our stream. It's Church Chat Wednesday.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Church Chat. I'm Pastor Dan.
And I'm Pastor Dave.
And that beautiful human over there is James Adkins, who is doing all of our technology. Your hair does look lovely today.
Thank you. I washed it. This episode happened to fall on my bi-weekly shower, so.
Do you have a special... I've never had long hair in my life. Do you have a special treatment of any sort that you do?
No.
Because it
Just
does
the
look
usual.
like it's bouncing and behaving, doesn't it?
Just the usual. Yeah. Tresemme, ooh la la.
Bouncing and behaving.
Did you get that out of a magazine?
Well, no, you probably read it on the back of, before phones, when you would be in the restroom doing the business you needed to do, what did you read? The back of a shampoo and conditioner bottle.
Yes.
Because that was your reading material, right? But now everybody's playing Candy Crush or whatever.
So, yes, you knew...
You knew a lot more about your shampoo and
jojoba
conditioner.
oil. Or
They can put whatever they want in there
essence
now.
was in
Nobody's
there.
reading
Yes.
it anymore. Nobody's
It
reading
could be
it.
tested on animals. You would not know.
No one knows. We used to know.
Yes.
We used to know so much about shampoo and conditioner. Now, nothing.
I have a shout out today.
Let's hear it.
Park Place. I know you've been.
Oh, yeah? Did you go back again?
I should've
Did
gone
any of you
yesterday.
guys... Have you ever had the Cuban sandwich?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
phenomenal there.
It is
Phenomenal.
the best Cuban sandwich I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best sandwiches I've ever
Okay.
had. It is awesome.
Are you going to rank it with the steak sandwich from We Serve?
Yes, I am.
And?
It's a tie.
It's a tie. Funny story.
I can't,
Yesterday,
because I love Jack.
Right. Yesterday morning, I had an early morning meeting, so I actually went into to We Serve just to get some coffee on my way to the meeting. And the guy in front of me asked for the steak sandwich for breakfast.
Oh, it wasn't Kevin Grabinski, was it?
I don't think so. It was some guy. But they said, Jack's not here, and he's the only one who knows how to make it. Ooh. So Jack's got like the special secret recipe, apparently, that he isn't sharing.
Because my buddy Kevin, who is a foodie as well, he will often get the steak sandwich with an egg on it for breakfast.
Okay. It might have been. He was masked, and I didn't pay that much attention. I just heard him say that that's what he wanted. I thought of you immediately.
Little known secret, you can get their breakfast sandwich with sausage if they have sausage, and their sausage is very good.
All right, that is good to know.
Yeah.
But talking to Jack,
I'm here for you.
this would be super special. He's in talks with.
Are you allowed to say this? It sounds like a very special
Well,
thing.
he was saying it,
Super
out loud, so I don't know.
Okay.
We had a room full of people. He's in talks with the person from Miller's Luncheonette.
Ooh.
in
Gasp.
hopes of bringing back
Gasp.
the Manhattan, their recipe for the Manhattan.
Oh.
So we can pray for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Those are totally appropriate things to be praying for.
Yeah.
Jesus cares about those kind of things. I promise
Yes.
you. Speaking of also really incredible and interesting foods, and then we can talk about other things. But so if there's anybody who's amazing at hospitality, it's James Adkins. And I walk in today, he hands me a cup of coffee. And he says, let me know what you think. Now, when you hand someone a cup of black coffee, usually you're like, just drink it. I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
But James wanted to know how I feel about this coffee. And the reason is it has 2 special ingredients. 3?
3.
I know 2 of them. I don't know what I'm drinking, apparently. One of them is cloves. The other is butter. A little bit of melted butter.
And a little bit of cinnamon.
Cinnamon. I didn't know about the cinnamon.
I I was gonna make him guess and tell you something like it was cat milk or something.
It could have been. I figured it was some sort of special roasted, garbanzo beans
Yeah.
or something. I don't know. But I've never heard of butter in coffee before. Don't hate it. Don't hate it at all.
What's the hate?
I mean, you don't taste it that much, but just knowing that it's there is comforting.
That's awesome.
It's very comforting. So,
Well, I've been into I was turned on to this in the Vietnamese restaurants in Toronto. But I went out and bought myself some Vietnamese coffee, a Vietnamese coffee filter.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever had it before, but it's a really strong espresso type thing.
okay.
And you take 2 tablespoons of condensed milk and put it in the bottom.
Ooh.
And so when it comes over, and then you stir it all up, and it's crazy. It's like rocket fuel, man.
Have you ever had Turkish coffee?
Yes.
That stuff is strong. I love that you have to chew the last couple of swallows.
Leslie Schufelt and I split. She introduced me to it.
Yeah.
It's a true story. I was wondering why it came in these like little thimbles almost to sip out of. And then I said, well, Leslie, I have to go because I have a doctor's appointment. Went to the doctor's appointment and they're like,
Your heart rate.
I kid you not. We're sending you to the hospital. I'm like, I just had this. And they're like, you can't even walk there. We want you to sit down. We are pushing you in the wheelchair over to, and my doctor came over and said, what the heck? And I'm like, I just had this coffee, I'm telling you. And he's like, Jay, where do I get this coffee?
Yeah.
And
Number 1, that's dangerous. Number 2, where can I get it?
yeah. But that was a true story.
That's
I got
awesome.
Sent to the hospital.
Got sent to the hospital. The coffee was so good.
Yes.
That's some good coffee.
That was good coffee.
If your coffee doesn't send you to the hospital, what are you even doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Oh, man. All right. In just a few minutes, our guest today, we've been looking forward to this one for quite a while. It's Dr. Fell from the University of Findlay, the president of the University of Findlay.
Oiler Nation.
Is going to be on with us. So really excited about that. How's everything else going with you, man?
Good.
Life good?
Good. I'm looking forward to I actually just got off the phone with your wife. She's helping with the youth retreat this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the governors coming on about 5:30 tonight.
Yeah. I mean, we're playing. So walk through what the scenarios are, because right now the retreat is on.
Right.
They're going up to Erie County to Beulah Beach.
Yes.
But talk about what the plans are, just in case anybody's watching.
Okay.
who's
So
doing that.
if we go red and they stay orange, even though our church shuts down and all that, we'll still go
Okay.
because we're going to a place that's orange.
Okay.
If they go red and we stay orange, we'll do something else. Like
Not go in
maybe-
there, just do something at the church.
Yes, like maybe a sleepover or something like
Okay.
that. If both are red, we will just see you next time
Got
and
it.
do it another time. But the other factor is I just saw in the paper there's 170 kids from the schools that are quarantined. I had a call from a kid that was quarantined this morning. If a bunch of our kids are quarantined, we'll still...
Yeah.
We don't want to be super spreaders. People.
No, we're trying to do it safe, give events to the kids, something that, one of the things that, well, a couple of things we know are true. One, this is one of the most impactful times in their lives as far as their faith goes. And so you hate to miss it. You really do. I mean, these are the kind of events that really get a hold of kids in their faith life.
Yep.
These are going to be kids who, the majority of them have probably never spent time away focusing solely on their faith. Yep. I mean, this is huge for them. And so we really, really, really want to do it. But at the same time, we're going to do everything we can to make sure it's as safe as we can be. But just it's it's nobody's experienced things like this. I can't wait to live in precedented times again.
Yes.
Because right now this stuff is just difficult to do. But just trying to focus on want to try to give them a great experience if we can. So.
Yep. But there's always next time, and I see
Right.
the back of Dr. Fell's head.
All right. So it's about time. All right. So.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and give her an introduction.
All right.
And I'll get her going.
Well, we see Dr. Fell is with us now. So, Dr. Fell, this is Pastor Dan, and
I'm Pastor Dave.
we're glad that you are with us this morning.
Okay, let me pull her.
Be there. Can I be heard?
Oh, yes. Yep. We can hear you.
Okay.
Now, it always takes
Good.
me a
Well, thanks
minute.
for having me.
Yeah. So this is just to kind of let you know, we do this every week where we come on and just kind of talk. And we try to bring on somebody from the community every week who is a leader in either a nonprofit world or in education or some other in some other way to just kind of give their perspective on just how they're doing and what their organization or school, in your case, does in the community. And so we thought this would be a great opportunity to have you kind of share a little bit about the University of Findlay and especially how are things going right now. We know that school administrators are having to come up with a lot of creative ways to lead through the pandemic. So how are things going at the University of Findlay?
Thank you for the opportunity. So at the University of Findlay, this is an unusual time for certain, as it is for all of you, for every organization and every campus. We have in place what we call the Oilers Start Safe and Stay Safe program. The university has always had, for many years at least, has had an emergency operations team ready to respond to any type of emergency. And we have the benefit of housing the All Hazards Training Center on our campus. So the expertise there comes into play and into leadership, along with our Vice President for Student Affairs, Dave Emsweller, in organizing us to respond to any emergency. And we have certainly been tested over the last several months. But I'm very proud of the work that team and the entire campus have brought to the table. We've concentrated on keeping our students and our employees and our community safe, and we've issued protocols and abided by protocols, and we are weathering the storm as best we can. And I think that's what all of us would say in the state of Ohio now. We can't make the pandemic go away on our own. So we pray a lot. You'll be happy to know that. And we'll keep praying a lot.
Yeah.
But currently we see a leveling of the cases on campus. We send out a dashboard every Monday. We're very transparent about what's happening and what we're doing. This Monday, I believe the number of current positive cases is 28, but we have 68 people in quarantine, and many of those are in quarantine because of contact tracing. Now, on our campus, we have isolation spaces, isolation houses, and we have quarantine spaces. And if those quarantine spaces fill, then we try to section off portions of the residence halls for quarantine students. So we're managing well. Our plan all along has been to be in class and on campus until Thanksgiving break. And then there are 2 weeks of the semester left after Thanksgiving break. We will offer those online. And students will have a review week and final exams virtually. And then they'll be out for the Christmas holidays, and we'll start again in January.
Yeah. My wife works at Bluffton University. I know they're doing something similar where, after
Yes.
Thanksgiving, it's kind of like this is going to be a time where it's good to kind of keep people separated. And as a pastor and trying to lead, a church through this time, I can empathize with you. And I am certain that, like me, you can't wait to talk about things besides the pandemic. um, because I know that there's so much that I'm sure you are proud of at the University of Findlay, and some of the great ways they impact our community and your students and what they go on to do.
Absolutely. I mean, we're still running school here, and making progress, moving forward, looking to the future. We have a number of reasons to celebrate. We've had a number of celebrations, in fact, over the course of this semester, and even since we began with responding to the pandemic last spring. We have been again named in a number of the national reviews, the U.S. News and World Report, Princeton Review, a number of others, Wall Street Journal. We're very pleased to continue to offer and be recognized for delivering on our promise to our students. We think that's our calling, to help them find their calling, and we have not lost sight of that. We have also announced, you may have seen in the news, we've announced a new partnership with Bowling Green State University, and offering students at Bowling Green the opportunity to complete an undergraduate degree there and a doctoral degree in pharmacy here, all within 6 years. And we're excited about that opportunity. We're reaching out to a number of businesses and other institutions of education to make available a great education. We think we serve a common mission. We certainly need to make a profit. We need a margin in order to support that mission, as your churches do. And we're committed to that. But the mission is the thing. And there are a number of organizations in our community. For example, Owens Community College and the University of Findlay opened a partnership last year called the Euler Express, where students can dually enroll at Owens Community College and the University of Findlay. And they save money and time, and we work to make their transition from Owens to Findlay to complete their bachelor's degree as seamless as possible. We have announced and have begun construction on the Conda STEAM edition at the Mazza Museum.
Oh, wow.
With a generous lead donation from Joseph and Judith Conda, and then a number of other contributors. The state provided seed money for that project. We're working in partnership with the public schools, Findlay City Schools, to build and use this STEAM edition, where students can learn the interconnections of science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. As an English professor, I love the fact that students are being reminded that they need it all.
Yeah.
And
I love that you mentioned the Mazza Museum. That was last week for us.
Oh yes, okay, good.
Yeah, so which is an incredible place. And I have to say also, we get the chance, being in the community, to interact a lot with different students. We've had students from University of Findlay who have come to our church. I've had a chance to speak at the Revive services on campus, and I do. A couple weeks ago, I do visits in the county jail, and while I was there was a student who was not in jail, but who was there to help in some of the counseling.
We're here for all of them.
Yes, we're here for all of them. But was there to help. Who was a social work major, I believe, and was as a part of their program, helping integrate back into the community. So just some really high quality students. That I've had an opportunity to meet from the University of Findlay. And I wonder if it's not a part of, from my own biased point of view, because of some of the faith-based relationships that you all encourage at the university. That's one of the things I think that makes you a little bit different. You have a church right there on your campus. You have a seminary right there on your campus, and a really strong student life religious organization and Revive and all that you do. How do you see the faith-based aspects as being an important part of the experience that students get at the university?
I think it's essential. So we have 5 principles that guide our work. And the first one is that we are a university grounded in Christian faith and welcoming to all. One of the other principles is that we practice and require civil discourse. So we don't require everyone who works here or who studies here to be Christian. We have people of many faiths. We have people who are not practicing a faith. We welcome everyone, but we expect civil and respectful discourse, and this works beautifully. I think. I think it is the distinctive attribute of the University of Findlay. We are serious. We don't apologize for our history, for our founding by the Churches of God General Conference in the city of Findlay, and that what might appear a paradox is actually a place of great growth and opportunity on our campus. We have found that students thrive in an atmosphere where you're honest about what you believe, but you don't impose it. And our Christian ministries organizations, there are many facets of Christian ministries on our campus. Christian ministry participation has grown exponentially in the last few years, more than it has ever been in our history, according to people who have studied our history or who have been here much longer than I have been. So it is essential. It animates us. And again, we don't require everyone to agree or to share our faith, but our faith is important to those, to me and to our board of trustees and to many people on our campus. And those of us for whom faith is essential, that faith animates our work with our community and with one another.
Well, I can attest. This is Pastor Dave. I received a religious studies degree from the University of Findlay, and
I could tell. I mean, there's an aura. There's an aura.
and Pastor Dan would be a mess without me. I'll tell you that.
Yes, exactly.
So, so it keeps paying forward.
Yeah.
As we close our time, can we pray for you?
Of course you can. I would be moved and honored.
Father God, thank you for your goodness, and thank you for the goodness that you pour out on our community and on the University of Findlay. We ask that you keep your spirit on campus, let it be felt, and that you continue to pour wisdom and goodness and grace on Dr. Fell and her administration. Keep everybody safe, and we hope that we can get to the end of this soon. But until then, Lord, we ask for your wisdom and your guidance, and most of all, Lord, your spirit. We love you. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Dr. Fell, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day today to share with us, and thank you for all you do in our community and at the university.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Take care.
I always wait for that little boo-doo.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
Here's kind of a cool side note. My wife and I moved to town in '92, and that university was a whole different. There was a lot less buildings, a lot more streets cutting through it, and that kind of stuff. My first job was at the University of Findlay, and I worked there with their athletic department for about 7 years.
And we know that because we just look at you and think athlete.
But here's a funny, interesting thing, though, as I remember going in one of the buildings or something, looking through a yearbook, and it was all about the Spanish flu.
Really?
And they talked about a lot of the things that happened on campus, and people who got sent home, people who were quarantined in houses, and I always thought that was such a strange thing. And now here.
Did you take detailed notes? Because those could be useful now.
They could be.
I might have taken detailed notes, but it wouldn't do me any good.
So one thing that, and I'm kicking myself I didn't ask her about this, but we can make contact with her later on.
Let me get her back.
No, it's all right. As she was talking, and I've thought about this with Bluffton as well, obviously because we have kind of a relationship with them, they're going to be taken off from Thanksgiving essentially until next. And so these kids are all going home, in between those times, except for some of them, international students, kids who just for whatever reason can't get home, or they've got a parent at home that, man, they're pretty high risk and you've been at college and exposed stuff. So you're going to have to stay home over Thanksgiving, over Christmas. And that feels like a ministry opportunity for us.
Yeah.
And for the rest of us here in the community. So I think that's something that was a brainstorm I had as she was kind of talking about that I think I always try to look for those people like, okay, so who's impacted the hardest by this? And I think it's going to be, imagine being in the middle of a pandemic alone for a month and a half on campus, in a different country, or it's just, what a lonely time.
Yeah.
And so be thinking of ways, and as we think of ways, we'll try to help organize, if we can, some ways that we can bless some of the students or those who are kind of left behind on those campuses. But
yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of a unique population at UF, just because 85% of their kids live within an hour
and
a half
it's similar at Bluffton,
of here. So on the weekends, you practically roll up the side, but that's who you'll always see, or the kids, and they have that international, some international programs like the intensive language, and that kind of thing. So
and I know that the universities are thinking about these, but it just feels like an opportunity for us to kind of go above and beyond and say, hey, we see you, and what an experience that will be also for them to just think about, that's a story you'll get to tell someday. Where were you during the pandemic? I was by myself with like 10 other people on campus, and especially these people who are like, where are you from? Nigeria. Where were you? In the middle of the cold in Ohio. It was just, awful. But yeah, kudos to Dr. Fell. Anybody that's trying to lead an organization of any kind, university, whatever it might be, through these kind of things, is dealing with stuff that they never thought they were going to have to deal with. And it seems like University of Findlay is doing as well as you can possibly do through all of this.
I'll tell you something on a different note. You went to a small school.
I did.
I went to a small school.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing like it.
It's a different kind of experience.
I started out at a big school. I started out at the University of Akron. And lasted about 5 minutes, but it's totally before I was politely asked not to come back. But there's just something about a small school when you don't show up and your professor gets a hold of you. Where you been?
Where you been? There is, and there's pros and cons to everything, but there is the community feeling that you get at a school like the University of Findlay, or at a Bluffton or a Tiffin or a Heidelberg or an Otterbein or any of these kind of small. There's just something about it that is so unique. And I know there's some people who are like, nope, I want the big college experience. I want the Toledo. I want the Ohio State, the Bowling Green, whatever. Although Bowling Green, I think, or is it Toledo that has the ad out about, we're big, but we're not that big, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it is. You're right. It's a different.
Well, and when you can see your professors 20 years later and they still remember you, that's cool.
So let's take this and turn this into a church conversation.
Okie doke.
So I know a lot of people, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people who say, I would hate to ever go to a really big church. Like, I'm all about the small church. And I think that there's some correlation there. There are some things that you can do at a smaller church, some experiences you can have at a smaller church that you just can't have necessarily, or usually don't have I won't say can't, that you usually don't have at a super large church. And I would guess that most small universities are very proud of their size. Like that, hey, we're a small university, but we're still, this intimate thing. But I guarantee you that every single one of them wants to see enrollment increase.
Yeah, well, that's funny because
Scrappy.
I watched an interview with Heidelberg, the guy from one of the VPs from Heidelberg, and he says the opposite of that. We don't want to increase by 20%
That's interesting.
because there is something about
There's something about our size. We like our size, and
right,
our
and it's manageable and
hey, there you
As,
go.
as far as the students go and stuff, I would think that, and I was thinking this when you were talking about the schools, but also it's true for churches. Some people, to get into something and to feel comfortable, want anonymity.
Yes.
And if you're part of a huge crowd, then
Yes.
you're not
You like that.
forefront.
Yeah.
Right.
And just to be honest, there's increased opportunity at, if there's different things that you can be involved in a large school. There's something for everybody. If you want to be a part of the fencing club, you can be a part of the fencing club,
Yeah.
where they might have it at a smaller university, but more than likely not, so
well, my
there's niche things.
middle son is just, and we kind of just figured this about him. I mean, he was just chomping at the bit to go to school, and he loves college, loves it. I mean, he comes home and can't wait to leave. This pandemic was just murder on him. Actually, he picked up a minor just so he could have his semester back. But he goes to UT.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, you can be as plugged in as you want. He's in student government. He's in this Omega, some kind of National Honor Society for fraternities. He has
Omega
an
fatty
office.
acids.
Yeah. He has an office in the with the fraternity. He works on camp. I mean, you can be as plugged in as you want at a big school, and I think that's like that. I've heard that I know some people have gone to Ginghamsburg, which for those of you who don't know, it was the biggest church in Ohio, and one of the
Biggest Methodist church in Ohio.
yes, and one of the biggest in the nation. It was somewhere around 7,000 people or so. But I even know people who work there, and it could be as with the times I visited, you just felt like a salmon when you're going in between whatever you're doing, just a big stream of people. But then if you wanted to get connected, you could do that through small groups and those type of things. But,
And what was always interesting in those conversations with people, because I think every pastor wants, you like your church, you love your church, you love the size of your church, but you always want just a few more people in there, right? You always want just a few more. And I remember at one point, I think I've shared this before, I remember some well-meaning person at a different church, not this church, where we had a Sunday where we were full. It was great. And they came up and they said, you know what? I think this is just about right. And I was like, great, go stand at the door and don't let anyone else in. Like, what do we do? What do you want us to do here? What do you want us to do? You want to, I understand the knock on mega churches. They're like, nobody's going there anymore because there's too many people, right? Well, there's a lot of people there, obviously. So the people are going because they're finding something. There's some way that they are coming to Christ in the middle of all of that. And if that's how they're finding Christ, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And if it works for you to find Christ at a 20-person church in the middle of a cornfield, I'm all for it. And we're something in between that, and I'm all for it.
Here's the funny thing is Cedar Creek, who is in town, they have, I don't know, what is it, like 10 satellite churches or something?
Yeah, a lot,
they're making. I've heard it said that nobody lives out their mission like they do. Their mission is just to be an on-ramp.
Yeah.
For people to get into the church. Yeah. And I've heard it said even at some point they're like, hey, if you are mature in your faith and feel comfortable and you'd like to move on,
Go for it.
Go for it because we need your seats.
Yep.
And you and I had the privilege of going to the largest church
Yeah, the
In-
largest Methodist church in the world.
in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't it also the largest church in the nation
I don't.
or North America or something like that?
I don't think it's the biggest church. It's big.
Yeah.
It's big.
We're talking like 30,000 at Easter.
Yeah.
And
Massive.
they're a church that lives out their
Yeah.
mission like no other.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so
they know
it's-
who they are and they go and they do it.
It's
yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
But then
So-
there are so many of us little churches that don't really know what we're about.
To me, what matters is, you've got to know what you're about, and it's about people coming to know Jesus, and so if people are coming to know Jesus at our church or at a Church of the Resurrection or a Ginghamsburg or a wherever, or Podunk Baptist Church in the middle of nothing, you live out who it is that God's called you to be. And I think we need each one of these things. I think we need all of them. I don't think one kind of church will ever satisfy, the needs of everyone to be able to find Christ. So I love that there are different flavors of it. I love that there's different ways that it happens.
Well,
And-
ultimately, it comes down to what you preached on 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we talked a little bit about it here. Nobody has done as much for the world as the church.
as the local church.
Ultimately.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Friends, since I'm here
Go
and
for
I
it.
have the internet at my
in
disposal,
your webs.
the United Methodist Church of Resurrection is 27th in the United States.
Wow. Could you imagine? What's the biggest?
The biggest is North Point Ministries in
Oh, yeah.
Alpharetta, Georgia.
Andy Stanley.
Andy Stanley with an attendance of 38,589.
Wow.
That's
And then
big.
Gateway in South Lake, Texas, Eagle Brook, and Centerville,
What about-
Minnesota.
What about in Ohio? Is there any Ohioans on there? A lot of them are in the South. They like things big in Texas.
Oh yeah, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee.
Yep.
Who's the guy in Texas?
Well, Robert Morris at Gateway, and then Edwin Young, Second Baptist Church in Houston, and then Ed Newton in Community Bible Church in San Antonio. Let me see. I'm looking for Ohio here. They didn't really.
It
put
might
in that
it
one.
might take a while to find in Ohio. I would say it's Crossroads in Cincinnati, but I could be wrong on that.
California, Kansas, Illinois, Indiana, North Carolina,
interesting.
Florida. Yeah. I will interrupt you.
Okay, and feel
if I
free to
find
interrupt us.
you.
Let's go ahead.
Seven Hills down there is
Perrysburg.
Oh.
Cedar Creek in Well,
Cedar-
it's Cedar Creek, but they say it's in Perrysburg. I don't know if that means it's all
That's
of
their
them or
main.
what.
That's their main campus. They have a lot. Interesting. Cedar Creek.
7,470 on their attendance.
There you go. There you go. So yeah.
Kudos to you.
Yep. Well done.
Ben Snyder.
And you know what? That's 7,000 people every week who are hearing the message of Jesus, and I love that. There's no church that size in Findlay, but put us all together, and maybe we're getting close.
And one more, Vineyard Columbus.
Vineyard Vineyard.
Rich
yeah,
Nathan.
I forgot about
Which was
Vineyard.
funny because I remember
Yeah.
when Cedar Creek was thinking about coming to Findlay
Yeah.
and taking over our old movie theater. People were freaking out,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Why?
Why don't we help them move in?
Yeah. Exactly.
When almost 8 out of 10
Right.
households in Findlay
Right.
don't know Jesus, there are plenty of room for. I mean,
Yeah,
Right.
what are we worried about?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like you could even use the analogy of restaurants, right? So how many Logan's Irish pubs are there? There's the one in here in Findlay. Right? Well, there's other ones, I'm sure, but this is a standalone, right?
Right, yeah, there's no other locations.
Who feeds more people, McDonald's or Logan's? I mean, McDonald's for sure, right? That doesn't mean I don't want to go to. Give me a choice. I'm going to go to Logan's.
right.
You know, it's a different thing. It's a total. What do you like? Do you want something fast and I can get in, can get out? But as long as you go away full, I'm down. You know, as long as you're not going away hungry, I don't care which place you go eat. Go eat something.
Well, what's interesting is maybe some people don't realize this, but one of the most cooperative ministries in this town has been the St. Mark's Youth. I mean, we have at one point were so intertwined with St. Paul's that no one knew which was whose kids. And even this week in this retreat.
Oh, right now, how many of these kids are families? I mean, what percentage? I mean, it'd be a guess, but what percentage are kids whose families go to this church? It's less than 50%.
I would say, a good 2/3 of our kids and youth group they don't go to our church. But what I was going to say is even our retreat this weekend.
Oh yeah,
we're partnering with E-Free, and I think St. Andrews is going to go. And actually, us partnering with E-Free a couple times a year, that's a normal thing. We used to have a middle school camp that we'd have 130 kids, and that was pooling from 6 churches. You know,
teamwork makes the dream work.
You know it.
And at no point was there ever any fear. Oh, you're stealing my kid.
Yeah.
You know, kind of.
We're all going to the same heaven, I think.
Yeah. And what's important is that those seeds are planted.
Yep.
You know?
And hey, do you know Grace Church in Akron?
I don't.
They're on this list.
Yeah, how about
I was
that?
asking Dave since he's from the area. Jeff Bogue, maybe Bogue is pastor. Anyway,
It is Bogwee. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Bogwee. I doubt it. He's calling in. He's calling in next week to correct you.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh.
Perfect. You know what? We're just going to go down this list for our guests.
That's it.
We'll start off with Andy
Okay,
next week.
Hold on.
Big A. Stanley.
Yeah. Something tells me you won't return our call.
That's a good possibility.
But actually, Adam Hamilton, I asked him if he would be on.
Oh, yeah?
And,
Yeah.
he never got back to me. But
Well, that's
okay.
weird.
Yeah.
With quality like this, how could they say
You know
no?
who did get back to me that I was surprised? I asked Mike Rowe if he would come.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He got back with you?
Yeah. He's just like, you guys are cool, but that's not really what I do.
Nah, bro.
Good enough.
But that's
Fair
so.
enough.
Did he actually write you back though?
Yeah.
I almost wish, though, he wouldn't have, because
He's
that's
such a great
worse.
guy.
Like, that's not like, hey, I didn't see your message. It's, hey, I saw it, and no.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to you.
If you would have started it out with like, we'd like to talk to you about how people need trade
Is it-
schools, you know.
Well,
and,
I thought he could have taken it as, look how jobs are changing due to the pandemic kind of thing.
Yeah.
You gotta
But
sell
he's-
it, man. You gotta
he's
sell
like-
it to him.
Yeah, I'm all about work and trade and my podcast, and you're not part of any of that. So,
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
By the way, his
Mike, if you're watching today, we'd still love to have you.
his podcast is excellent. By the
It
way,
is excellent.
All right, let's close this out. So tonight at 5:30, the governor is going to be giving some sort of address. So I don't know what that's going to be. Again, our plan, and you already talked about the youth plan, so we don't have to rehash that. But church plan is, if we do end up red, and if he doesn't announce it tonight, we'll have more information tomorrow at the normal thing at 2:00, I'm guessing. If we go red, we're back to being fully online, which I'll be bummed about, but it's just, we're trying to keep everybody safe. I'd be especially bummed this week. I'm actually really excited about. I'm always excited about the sermon, but I'm really excited about giving this sermon because it's one that I'm afraid to give, which always means that it usually means that God's going to do something with it. But yeah, so just kind of watch out for that. But otherwise, 9:00 traditional. If we stay orange, 9:00 traditional, 11:15 contemporary, 10:00 Sunday school. We're getting close to Advent. We're getting there.
Just a couple weeks. I would throw out this quick sidebar too, though. If the governor does give an address tonight, I'm almost counting on the bishop coming out with something.
Probably
seems
true. That usually
seems to be
seems
the
to what
way.
happens. So last time governor came on for one of these evening things. Do you remember what it was? It was him basically saying, "I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed," which is It's what I do to my kids. I love
I know.
it.
I felt like
I'm like, okay, that's
sorry,
worse.
governor.
So anyway, we will do our very best to keep everybody informed of what's going on. So just kind of stay tuned for all of that. But our hope is that we get to see you on Sunday. Check out Corinne's videos that she puts up for the kiddos, the Spark Kids Online. And hope that you can see that. If you didn't get a chance to see it because maybe our Facebook feed wasn't working this last Sunday, check out Dave's message on YouTube from last Sunday because it was very good. You did a very nice job.
Thank you.
And you looked wonderful.
Always.
All right.
And
are
you
we
made it
good?
awkward.
Anything else?
I don't have anything on my end.
All right. Well, then in that case, James, play us out.
Okay, let me turn on my camera. Hey, there it is. Got my old. This is built by a friend of mine named Riley Yielding in Alabama.
He could be making it up and no one would have any idea.
Made it myself.
I have no idea what it's tuned to though, so we'll see if it works with the theme song. All right.
You're a ridiculous person.
Well, I am pretty ridiculous. Ask my wife. There it is.
It's Church Chat with Pastors Dan and Dave. Come hang out with us on our stream. It's Church Chat Wednesday.
I don't know what that was, but well done.
There we go.
All right,
redeemed
everybody, take
myself.
care. We will catch you later.